Yo, welcome to Overpromised with Covino Rich. What's going on, buddies?
Happy Dos de Mayo. Excited for the big fiesta this weekend. Actually, there's a lot going on this weekend. We're going to tell you all about it. But again, welcome to our bonus podcast, Covino and Rich from Fox Sports Radio, 2 to 4, Monday through Friday on the West. That's 5 to 7 on the East,
Every
bro.
You got
at Covino and Rich. You're busy this weekend, huh?
This weekend I'm going to be in New Jersey at 80s Wrestling Con, which is a fun little get-together. My friends and I go every year. My high school buddies, we get together. We went a few years ago, got to meet everyone from Jake the Snake to the $1 Million Man to, you know, the Bushwhackers, you name it, they're there.
I'm sorry, did you say the Bushwhackers?
Whoa! I mean, Powers of Pain. I mean, you know, Mike Rotunda, all the Slick. So we go every year. It's a fun little hang for me and the guys. And the guy that runs it, Tommy Fierro, he asked me this year if I could be the special guest ring announcer for the main event.
You do your Howard Finkel or what?
Coming down the aisle.
He's already practicing.
Ready? Hold on, ready?
Yeah.
The following contest scheduled for one fall.
No, pretty good, right? I love it.
Now, one of the big superstars that's going to be there this weekend, Men in Sports Arena in Morristown, New Jersey. None other than one of the most recognizable faces in WWE history. Hall of Famer, give it up for Sergeant Slaughter. Yo, Sarge, I got to ask, is there a day that goes by where someone doesn't recognize you? You might have one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment.
Well, this morning, I was at a store and a lady came by me with her 2 children, and finally she came back around and she said, "Does anybody ever tell you you look like Sergeant Slaughter?" And I said, "Every day, ma'am, every day." He said, "Really? You look just like him." And I said, "Well, I am him." And she said, "No, you're not." I said, "Yeah, I am." She said, "No, you're not."
No, you're not. I love it.
I can't even.
How do you prove it? Does your license say Sergeant Slaughter?
Sergeant Slaughter ID.
Yeah, how can you start flexing? What do? Do you show her your old belt from 91?
Yeah.
That's great, man. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, again, Sergeant Slaughter from Detroit, but grew up in Minnesota. So it is Fox Sports Radio. Who do you root for? Outside of wrestling, you know, football, baseball, who do you root for, man?
Well, I actually was born in Minnesota. I don't know where the Detroit thing came on.
You know, you can't trust Wikipedia, man.
You can't get that stuff off of there. They say I'm married to someone named Karen.
So wait, hold on. Let me scratch that off the list.
Not Karen.
Nothing about Karen. Okay.
Yeah, I've been with my wife for 54 years, and she's getting a little pissed off about that. But anyway,
she's like, "Who's Karen?"
She understands. But it's. What was the question?
Who do you root for? Do you have any? Are you a sports fan?
Are you a Vikings and Twins guy?
I'm, of course, before the Minnesota Vikings and the Twins came into Minnesota and the hockey and all the other sports, I cheered for whoever I could get on my transistor radio, basically. Did I lose you?
No.
No, we're here, man.
And I know growing up, at least what I read about you growing up, is that you actually did wrestle and you played football. So were you a good athlete growing up in Minnesota?
I was pretty good athlete. I thought I'd be a professional football player or professional baseball player one time, but my parents were farmers and they really couldn't afford, send me to college, my sister or I. So, we had to kind of, do the best we could. And I was hoping to get a scholarship. I get a couple of small scholarships, but it just college wasn't for me. I wanted to play sports, but I didn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
When was the moment?
Did odd jobs and became a barber. And then I ended up going to do business with my father, who was a roofer. And that's where what I was doing when I got the call to come watch a pro wrestling training camp up in Minnesota.
Nice. Now, so you were a barber. Does that mean if Brutus Beefcake didn't exist, you could have been a barber also?
Yeah, I gave a lot of pointers, actually. Yeah.
So let me ask you, Sarge. Again, one of the most recognizable WWE stars of all time. I got to ask because we all grew up, G.I. Joe, Sergeant Slaughter, an American hero. When Vince gives you the call and says, hey, you're going to come in and you're going to fight Hogan. I heard that you were like, wait, Hogan's going to turn bad. And they're like, no, Sarge, you're going to be the heel. What was that like?
Right. Well, I left WWE for about 6 years to go be the first living G.I. Joe. So when I watched WrestleMania 6 and I saw the abortion of the match, I wrote Vince a letter and told him that I loved his new because I didn't watch WWE for 6 years because I was mad at them because they didn't allow me to do G.I. Joe and WWE and WrestleMania. We were working for WrestleMania 1. So off I went. So I didn't watch the show. So when I finally watched WrestleMania 6, I wrote Vince a note and I said, I can't believe I have to give you a salute on your production. Your production is probably the greatest production of any, not only wrestling, but any program I've ever seen. And I sent him a little note. And about 2 weeks later, I got a call from him saying, I see your contract with Hasbro is over. You ready to go back to work? So I figured he wanted to bring G.I. Joe, Sergeant Slaughter, the real American hero, back for WrestleMania 7 as the real American hero.
Yeah.
But he had other ideas. He wanted me to be an Iraqi sympathizer and go up against Hogan.
At first, were you like, shit, I don't know if I want to do this? Or were you on board like, wow, Sergeant Slaughter, the villain? How did that feel at first?
Well, when he said 104,000 fans, I said, I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't care what I have to do. If I have to spit in Mother Teresa's face, I'll do that for 104,000 fans. So anyway, I'm just kidding on that. I'm just kidding. But I just went home and told my wife, and she thought I was completely out of my mind to do that. But I said, well, that's what they want, so let's go for it. And so we did. But I told Vince from the beginning, if you want me to do this, you got to let me run the program. I'm not going to, do this and then not do that and do this and not do that. So he said, you got full reign. You go too far over, we'll bring you back. So I went full board with it.
Sergeant Slaughter, what is it like to walk out there and even look back to those days, walking out in front of 104,000 people? And what was that like for not only you, but your family, too?
And getting the booze for the first time.
Getting
your
the
whole
booze.
life, you were getting cheers and cheers. Now
that must be a wild feeling, man.
Yeah. Well, the worst part about it was I didn't get to walk out in 104,000 fans because we got too much heat on us. The people that own the Coliseum in L.A. said Vince had to secure the building for millions and millions of dollars because of all the death threats and bomb threats. So he decided not to do that and go indoors. So I never got the opportunity to walk out in front of 104,000. So that was kind of a dagger in the heart after all I went through and put my family through and friends through, not to be able to walk out there and finish the job,
But you were able to walk out in 2004 in front of thousands of people and accept your Hall of Fame award. What was it like to share that with your family? And did the sunglasses come in extra handy because you had to hold back the tears, or does Sergeant Slaughter not cry?
Yeah, I had to put the glasses on. It was pretty uncomfortable because you're accepting something for what you did in your profession. And I was Bob Remus, accepting that. So I was stumbling and fumbling. So I went over and got my campaign cover, put that on and put my glasses on. And I was comfortable, and I thanked everybody for helping me get to that point. And I wear the ring every day.
Nice.
I've never taken that ring off since the day I got it. And that was the first year that they decided to give the rings away. So it has your name engraved on the inside. So there's only one of a kind. They're made for you, especially for you. And I have a G.I. Joe Hall of Fame also. I'm the only American. I'm the only human being that has both those rings right there.
That's so awesome, man.
That's sweet, man.
And the G.I. Joe Hall of Fame.
Wow, congratulations. Sergeant Slaughter hanging on Overpromised with Covino and Rich. Hey, Sarge, when you look back to, wrestling in the 80s and 90s, was there a gimmick that you thought would have worked better? And was there a gimmick that you can't believe it worked because you thought it was so ridiculous? When you think of some of the things Vince pulled out of his, it seems like he pulled some of these gimmicks out of his butt. What when you look back, like what was ridiculous and what did you love?
Well, Roddy Piper and I were driving down the highway one night, and we just started thinking about characters, and we came up with Doink the Clown.
Oh, shit, yeah.
We took it to Vince, and he loved the idea. And Roddy knew Matt Bourne very, very well. I wrestled Matt's father back in Portland, Oregon, back in the 70s. And so he was the perfect guy for it because we always wanted the clown to be, the hero, go up to the kids and give them balloons and candy and dance with them and have all kinds of fun. But in his alter ego, he was a mean guy. And so we set it up so when he was outside of the arena with his nose off and his makeup kind of twisted off and his hair halfway down and he was smoking a cigarette, like he was a bad clown. And it all was going our way, except that, the guy in Chicago, the clown that killed all those boys. I mean, it went the wrong direction.
Right, ruined it.
Stuff like that to happen,
Exactly.
So, but that was really a fun, clever thing to do because when I was doing interviews with different talents, and I would have Doink, show up behind them in a window or on the set, and they'd be talking about Doink, and all of a sudden he would like creep up like Cobra Commander would do in one of my scenes in one of my animated shows. But so it was a fun character that I really thought would do well. The one that really bummed me out was Adam Bomb. Guy Brian Clark, one of the greatest athletes I saw, because I discovered him and a lot of the talent that was in the WWE. Number one being Mark Calloway. I found him in a box of tapes, and he was this mean Mark Calloway down to WCW, but he wanted to come up to WWE. So I saw his tape, took it to Vince, and he said, if you think he's worth a tryout, bring him in. So with Brian, it was the same way. Taz, X-Pac, Billy and Bart Gunn, a lot of the talent that I discovered in those boxes. Brian was probably the greatest athlete of them all, and he just didn't get the push that he should have. Another guy was Nick Nemeth. Never got the push that he should have got. He was one great athlete, and Barry Windham, of course, probably the greatest wrestler I was ever in the ring with, and never got, too far.
Windham for a minute. For a minute, they tried to make Windham the Widowmaker. Do you remember that for a second? The Widowmaker. That never panned out.
Right.
You said Mark Calloway. When the Undertaker, when that gimmick comes about, did you think that was going to work? Like, yeah, he's Paul Bearer brings him out with the urn and all that. Did that seem too silly, or did you say, oh, that shit's going to work?
I just found him, and I didn't know that Vince was looking for a dark character like that. So I brought him to a tryout in Rochester, New York, and Vince fell in love with him. And he had this character in mind. He wanted to first bring him in as the Paul Bearer. But everybody kind of went, that doesn't sound that mean or tough. So then he decided to go with Undertaker and bring a manager in called Paul Bearer, who was Percy Pringle. Yeah. And he was an actual, Undertaker.
Yeah.
So he knew how to do things the way that Vince wanted to lead Mark into. So, it's just fun to create characters. I didn't have anything to do with creating Undertaker. I just went along with whatever I was told to try to get done.
Now, Sergeant Slaughter, you were talking about the production value in the 90s. You were saying how you wrote to Vince and, you were saying he put on such a great show back then and he brought you back. What do you think now when you see it? When you see WrestleMania now, see how far it's come, what goes through your head when you're watching that? And any favorites today?
I just wish I was born later because I would have liked to have been a part of all that. I was there for Starrcade. It started Starrcade. Don Carnolo, my ex-partner, former World Tag Team Champion with the NWA, and Ricky Steamboat, Jay Youngblood. We more or less paved the road for Starrcade. And when the WWE saw that, they decided to do the WrestleMania. And that's when I went back to WWE after I had my couple-year run there with NWA. It's just incredible to watch the production from when you look at an old Allentown TV taping or even in your house or some of those first pay-per-views for what it is today, just like the one I watched WrestleMania 6 with the Ultimate Puke and Hulk Hogan. It was just incredible. It looked like there was 1 million people in that building. I know they had like probably 70,000, but it looked like 1 million people were in there. Because when I left WWE to go to G.I. Joe, we were doing like a 2-3 camera shoot. That was it. Now I'm 6 years after I tune it in and watch it, and they probably had 15, 20 cameras.
And the pyro and then the music, the effects, it's unbelievable.
Right. And everybody had music. I was the first one to bring music into the WWE when I played the Marine Corps hymn when I first came out for a tryout promo with Vincent Kennedy before he took over the company from his father, and his father wanted me to go do a promo with him. So he said, "Is there anything I can do to help your entrance?" And I said, "Can you play some music?" He said, "What kind of music?" And I said, "The Marine Corps hymn." He said, "You want to play that before you go out?" I said, "Well, when I go out." He said, "I never thought about that. Let's try it." So he ran to the truck and production people said, "Yeah, we can put it over the loudspeakers in the arena." So I was the first one to have the.
Well, hold on. I got to say, Sergeant Slaughter does not get enough credit for that.
Well, that's
first
why.
Theme song. That is such a big part of the wrestling game. It is. Now, to think that before Sergeant Slaughter.
Can't see anybody, nobody can walk out without music anymore.
Right. That would be insane. By the way, you said
They don't know. They wouldn't know the first thing about trying to be a fan favorite or be a villain without their music. I mean, it's impossible. They don't know the psychology anymore.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a few that do, and they're keeping it going. And Triple H, of course, grew up in that style of that I went through. So he's bringing it back. He can't go any further. The way they were going, they can't go any further. Pretty soon, gonna have to take a body slam off the top of the building.
I know. No, it's crazy.
To get any reaction from the people, and the problem is now is the talent thinks they have to have the people screaming and hollering throughout the match. You don't have to do that. You only need them at a certain time and certain places. You don't have to have them screaming nonstop. That's not the idea of it.
Hey, Sarge, I heard you say the ultimate puke. The ultimate warrior, rest in peace. But was he a dick like a lot of people said? Apparently, he was not a favorite back in the locker rooms.
Well, we got along because we had to. He first time I wrestled him, he clotheslined me, and I saw stars. And I was trying to get up for another clothesline, but I couldn't. I didn't have enough, sense in me. So I took him out behind the barn, as they say, and I told him, "You got to learn how to soften up a little bit, or you and I are going to be battling." And I don't think you want that, and especially for me, because I'm going to kick your ass. And, I don't want that. And so we became good friends. I mean, not good friends, but we were acquaintances. And he was a great talent, easy to work with, but he did have some demons, and he had a lot of enemies, unfortunately for him. But he finally, buried the hatchet with the help of Triple H and Vince, and he held up Vince for $550,000 cash at SummerSlam when we were getting ready to go out there. Vince came over to my locker room and said, "We got a little problem." And I said, "What is it?" It was the match made in heaven, match made in hell.
Yeah.
And that's when Macho Man married Miss Elizabeth, and Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior were against myself and Colonel Mustafa and General Adnan. And so that was the match made in hell. And of course, Psycho Sid was the special referee. So I had everything up against me on that one. And then all of a sudden I got Vince telling me that Warrior is holding him up for $550,000 cash or he's not going to wrestle. So I said, "What are you going to do, fire him?" And he says, "Well, I'm going to fire him, but I got to let him wrestle because that's what people are here for. They want to see that match." And then here come Hogan smashing down the door of the locker room and getting into Vince's face about what Warrior is doing. And he said, I'll tell you what, Slaughter, you and I be in the ring, and before I come in, you throw Ultimate Warrior out on the floor. Cheeky, you jump down and break his leg." And they said, "Oh, no, don't do that. I don't need a lawsuit on top of everything else. Let's just get the match done, and that's it." So there's a lot of crazy things in this business that people don't know about. That I'll have to write a book about it someday. Probably have to be volumes because I couldn't put it all in one book.
Yeah.
I got one last question for Sergeant Slaughter. Again, legend, Wrestling Hall of Famer, came up with so many legendary characters and legendary people. In today's sporting world, you see the jersey swaps, right? Do you have anything from like a big red boot from the Hulkster? Like, do you have anything from these other guys you worked with? Does that mean anything to you? Any sort of memorabilia aside from the rings that you hold near and dear? Or do you wish you had some?
From any other talent?
Yeah.
No, I just wanted my name on the paycheck.
That's all it counts.
That's all I wanted.
That's it.
We called Hulk Hogan the Golden Goose because whenever you were in a program or in a match with him, you knew you were going to make more money because, Hulk wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world. He could talk the chrome off a bumper, but when it came down to wrestling, he didn't know watch from a headlock, So you had to lead him around, but you knew you were going to make money with him because he was.
And you can't hate on that. Yeah.
I heard Jake the Snake. I heard Jake Roberts, Sarge, recently say that he never really got that feud with Hogan, and he said, "I lost a shit ton of money because I never got linked up Jake the Snake versus Hogan."
Wow.
So fighting Hogan was the payday, huh?
Yeah, it was the payday, and I just don't think Hogan wanted that snake around.
Probably, yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to this Saturday.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm excited to see you, man. I'll be there, Sergeant Slaughter, Morristown, New Jersey, Wrestling Con, 80s Wrestling Con. Who do you look forward to seeing? Is there another talent there that you look forward to catching up with?
Well, one of my former privates, Boris Zukov, Jim Nelson is going to be there.
Oh, nice.
And of course, Jake is going to be there, Jake the Snake. And there's so many others. Stan Hansen, probably the toughest guy I ever had to wrestle because when I wrestled him, I had 104 fever and I had a flu and I had to wrestle this monster. And it always reminded me, that sometimes it doesn't always go your way, and of course, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, Barry Windham, of course, and J.J. Dillon, Baby Doll, Bill Apter, George Napolitano. Always have a good time seeing them. Powers of Pain, Dean Malenko, all great legends to see and come and hang out with, get their autographs, come see me and find my foxhole over there, get some autographs, some photos, and don't miss the opportunity to join Sergeant Slaughter's Cobra Clutch Club, because if you do, you can survive the Cobra Clutch. You earned Sergeant Slaughter's challenge.
Nice. I love it.
Hey, picture me on the front and on the back. It says you're proud member of the Sergeant Slaughter Cobra Clutch Club.
Rich, you better come home.
I'm going to have to.
Can't buy those. You got to earn them.
I'm going to earn one of those this Saturday. Men in Sports Arena, Morristown, New Jersey. I'll be there. In fact, there's a wrestling event going on after, and I'm actually going to be the special guest ring announcer.
Oh,
so I'm excited.
Really?
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get to see Rich the Clown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We all will be there from 10 a.m. and then the live matches start at 4, I believe it is.
yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And, Tommy Farrow always presents a great wrestling fan fest and the WrestleCon in the 80s. And can't wait to get there May 4th this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Perfect,
Nice.
Sarge. I'll see you there. Thanks for your time. Great catching up. Great stories. And you got to write that book one day because that's a lot of interesting stuff. So appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you very much. And if there's no further questions, you guys are dismissed. Don't let your enemy eat your breakfast.
Oh.
See you Saturday.
See ya.
And that's in order.
I love it. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sergeant
Sarge.
Slaughter.
Go.
On Covino and Rich. Overpromised Saturday. We'll see you, Sarge. And hey, listen, until tomorrow's show. Arrivederci, baby.
We will see you in the Overpromised land.
Have a good one.
Have a great weekend. Cinco de Mayo weekend. Yeah.
Come on.
Don't make me come looking for you.
Sarge.